We got on. All right. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Diana Rankin here with your weekly psychic soul messages and a bit of wisdom from Phillip. And also, we're going to finish up the chapter on soul families. We're going to, from one of my books, The Found Child. I apologize. It seems like I get started every week and then it just doesn't load, and so I have to start over. So those of you who come on the chat, forgive me if it feels like I'm cutting you off. It's not that at all. It's I'm in a rural area and we have rural internet, which is nothing like city internet at all. So anyway, forgive me if you think there's a video there and then it suddenly disappears because I start loading one and it just won't load. And so I have to start over, and sometimes more than once. Anyway, we are still answering the question about our soul families. And this is, as I say, one of my books here, The Found Child. And we finish up on the soul family. And today we're going to talk about bonds and double bonds. We will also get a message from another book. This is Philip's book, the Master's Book of Answers by Philip. And each page, for those of you who are new, each page is a different wisdom. And so we'll get our wisdom from Philip. I want to say that I have to put my glasses on here so I can see at a distance, that this is our 16th week, and it is April the 12th to the 18th. It is Easter Sunday, Passover. So we have a lot of religious holidays taking place. We had last week was Palm Sunday and Passover began and it was Good Friday, and this week is Easter. Actually, that's Sunday. I'm on a Friday, as many of you know. Anyway, we are still in the middle of a horrific pandemic, and we're going to look at that just a little bit. But I want to first of all say welcome to all of you who are coming for the first time. Welcome to those of you who are coming back. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. You know, this is not a natural, easy thing for me to do. So you make it so easy for me because you care. And so I say, oh, I don't want to go do that today. And it's like, no, let's go do it today, because someone needs to hear the message, because someone's waiting to hear the message. So let's go take care of that. So here we are. One of the things I want to say about what's happening, and you've seen me do this before, it's a pendulum. And, you know, I'm going to swing this to show you. This is what the energy does. And this is people pushing that energy. So we always swing wildly one way and then the other. And look what happens, though. We eventually come down to the center. So we're going to swing this way before we swing this way, and then we will settle down. So right now, we're way over here. Well, actually, I should probably say way over here. I'm not sure. We're way over on the right side around the world. And the earth, what's happening, not only politically, but what's happening in our planet, what's happening in the earth. And this may have to do with 5G. I don't know that even matters, actually. The earth is changing. Our earth is going through this magnificent change, and this is good, but it makes it very, very difficult for those of us in human bodies to deal with that energy that the earth is going through. Now, that said, and again, as 5G is spread around the world, our bodies will have to adjust to that. It's going to happen, and so we have to be able to deal with it. We have to be able to raise our immune systems and raise our vibration to be able to deal with what the changes are taking place in the earth. And as we do that, the exciting thing is, as we do that, we actually build our immune systems, we build our deeper love for everyone, we build deeper compassion, greater kindness, more generosity, we let go of more and more of the fear. And so, yeah, let's build this. Let's build this. Okay? So, I want to get right into the bonds and the double bonds, and just a real quick time. Thank you. Hello, time to come up. I know who you are. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and read from the book rather than explain it. And this is a book, just to give you a quick update. If you haven't been with us the last 2 weeks, you might want to go back and listen to what led up to this. We're talking about soul families. And this came from a question from one of you, one of the viewers. And so I thank you for that. And I welcome you to send me your questions. You can post them below. By the way, below I have put a meditation that you might want to take a look at. It's a healing meditation. And so right now we all need to do our very best to be healed and keep our bodies safe and healthy. So what has happened so far is we have 3 characters. We have Philip, of course. We have the main character of the book, which is written in first person. And then we have a very strange little boy named Davy. And we're not quite sure who Davy is. It's not an angel, but... And what has happened is the main character had a motorcycle spill, and she met this very strange little boy at the end of her lane, and that took them into meeting Philip, which took them into, let's say, a trip through spirit world, shall we? And back in time and forward in time, because as Einstein taught us, there is no time. So here we are. And what has happened is the main character and Davy and Philip are standing in this huge room, and she has seen all these different people and animals and winged ones and from her soul family. So here we go. And she has just seen a whole big group. And she asks, who are they? And Philip answers by saying, they are the nucleus of your soul family. She has seen within this big group, a smaller group of people that are just light. She could barely recognize anyone because their light is so strong. And this is the smaller group that she's asking Philip about. Okay. They are the nucleus of your soul family, Philip said. Do I know them in this life? Some, but it is not necessary that you recognize them, at least not at this point. Let me explain. It may help, right? Within each soul family, there is a nucleus, a group of beings who set the parameters and goals for that family. They are the leaders, I suppose one could say. Philip looked at me to make sure I was carefully listening to him. The nucleus beings are chosen by Prime Spirit, or ambassadors of Prime Spirit. Now, in this book, let me finish. Their destiny is to lead others to fulfill their destinies. Philip is telling us Prime Spirit in this particular book is what others might refer to as the universe or as God. And it is the core of the whole spirit. It's where everything kind of comes together. Were they created as nuclear beings? I asked, afraid of the vastness of the answer, but yet the words came out of my mouth almost against my will. Philip looked at me closely when he spoke. I wanted to look away, but could not. Some were, he said. Mostly, nuclear beings were chosen after long lifetimes of study as multidimensional beings with eons of study in a multitude of diverse universes. Finally, there are additional lifetimes of practical application as an apprentice, a fledgling who works with the nucleus beings, but under the guiding light and guardianship of others. He goes on to say, each soul family has different purposes, different explorations to undertake, different creations to manifest. Philip continued after a pause. Souls, before the first manifestation into human life, look at different families and then decide which family best suits their needs. The soul then petitions the nucleus beings for admittance into that soul family. The nucleus beings of the chosen soul family meet with the nucleus beings of all soul families, along with all of their guides, teachers, angels, and other spirits to decide whether to accept or reject the petition. Of course, this is all determined with the assistance and approval of Prime Spirit's closest aides. Prime Spirit? Yes, well, some might call Prime Spirit God, but not the God you knew in your childhood. Unfortunately, that God was swallowed up by religions who made God in their own image. The pity is they make such a small God, I suppose, because they couldn't understand the infinity of God or Prime Spirit or Prime Source, as we've come to say. Prime Spirit, I mumbled to myself. The words felt vast and primal, unknowing and unknowable. We humans need to feel something, or someone is watching over us, taking a personal interest in our affairs, helping us in our needs, I said. Perhaps this is why we created a more personal God. Oh, my dear, so many watch over you and take a personal interest in your affairs. You can have a whole entourage as your beck and call 24/7, as you are fond of saying in your world these days. We do? Philip, the nucleus beings, David said. Remember? Yes, of course. I divert, Philip said. But I want to know more about Prime Spirit and my entourage, I said. Yes, very well. For a moment or two, Philip seemed confused about which direction to take, which questions to answer first. He quickly composed himself and continued, There is no beginning or end, really. There's only just now and all that is. Then he added, I suppose we should cover things in order, so the nucleus it is, but do remember it's all tied in together. This seemed completely contradictory to me, but Davy seemed satisfied with Philip's explanation and the direction we were taking. He really is an extraordinary little boy, I thought, and then reminded myself that he was not any ordinary little boy. As I was saying, Philip began, there are millions upon millions of souls in the universe. There are more than that, Davy said. I heard there were, yes, it doesn't really matter now, does it, Davy? The number, that is, especially since one soul can split itself and then those two souls can split again, and so on, Philip said. And then they come back together, Davy said. The souls that split can come back together. Philip looked quickly at Davy. Yes, Davy, that is correct. So you see, the number keeps changing. He paused before he added, Of course, there are aides to Prime Spirit who know the exact number, but it's a number that has no meaning to Diana. It's not even a number she can comprehend. Diana's the main character. That's her name. I like the name. I laughed. Probably not, I said. Numbers were never my strong point. Oh, but they were, Philip said. You once well understood the Greek mathematician. I can't remember his name, and I'm having trouble pronouncing it, so forgive me. The mathematician. And the pronunciation has left me, so I'm not going to say it. But it's something similar to Pythagoras. That's so off. Sorry. Forgive me. Having spent time studying his work, that name will come right to me as soon as we sign off. Anyway, having spent some time studying his work, of course, his work is very different from the way numbers are used today. In his day, numbers were used for mystical purposes, to better understand life in the universe. Numbers were the predictors of the future through understanding of spirit cycles and patterns. Philip shook his head and then continued, but never mind. I divert again and must come back to the nucleus beings within soul families before Davy reminds me again. I want to say, oh well, I'm not even going to try it on the name again. It's not leaving my mind, so it's going to come. Philip smiled and looked at Davy. A genuine emotion passed between them, which surprised me. Maybe Philip was right when he said there are many who look out for us and care about our well-being. Does Philip feel emotion? Do other beings in the universe feel emotions the way humans do? What were these other beings like? So many questions to ask Philip. Would I ever learn all the answers? Now, where were we? Philip asked, and then answered without waiting for an answer. Ah, yes. As I was saying, there are more soul families than you can imagine in the universe, even this tiny little universe that Earth is part of. Pythagoras. The mathematician Pythagoras. Thank you. You mean there are more universes? I asked. Why, yes, Philip said. More than I can count, I bet. Oh, yes, more than you can count. And Prime Spirit is the head of all these universes? Well, now, perhaps the more appropriate term is original creator of, Philip said. Now about nucleus beings within soul families, and double bonds. Double bonds? Yes, double bond. Everyone within a soul family is bonded, basically, and that's very basically. It's a fundamental, attractive force that binds souls, much like chemical bonds when atoms and ions bond in a molecule. These bonds, although strong, can be broken. Double bonds are stronger. These bonds are found among certain members within your soul world. Two souls may choose to form a double bond, using each other to help them grow into their greatest potential. There is a greater danger in this journey. These pairs may also bring out the other's most horrendous faults and spend lifetimes correcting their errors. These are soulmates, I asked. Usually these are twin souls who at one time were created as one and then decided to split into two entities who then formed a double bond. Or they may be two souls who spent many lives together and chose to double bond. Soulmates are any members of your soul family with whom you decide to come together in order to work through specific issues for the growth of both souls. In my world, we've changed the meaning, I said. Yes, but not entirely. It still can be a very romantic relationship, but that's not the only reason soulmates have. Like double bonded souls, soulmates manifest in a variety of different roles and genders. Are nucleus beings double bonded? I asked. Nucleus beings are at least triple bonded, Philip said. The nucleus being of each soul family are triple bonded to the nucleus being of every other soul family throughout the universe. Philip could see that I was having trouble wrapping my mind around what he was saying, so he gave more explanation. Imagine a small circle within a large circle. Everyone within the circle is related. One soul family, the smaller circle being the nucleus of that family. Now imagine several additional large circles, all with the smaller nucleus circle. Draw a line from one nucleus to another, and then add a third nucleus, and so on. Soon the lines among the nucleus of each soul family begin to cross and come back on themselves. But as you can see, all the small circles connect, even though the larger circles do not meet. So this is how we're all connected through the nucleus beings, I said. Yes, that and you are made out of the same matter, but that is another matter, Philip said and laughed at his own joke. That's also mind-boggling, I said. Are there other bonds? Yes, the number is much higher. Your scientists have discovered quadruple and sextuple bonds, I believe, but they aren't quite sure how they all work. They'll discover another bond soon, but still they have a ways to go before discovering or fully understanding bonds. Suffice to say, all you need to be concerned with are double and triple bonds. Tell her why, Davy insisted. Oh, certainly we'll get to that, Philip said, but first she wanted to know about Prime Spirit and her entourage, and it will take the whole entourage to explain Prime Spirit. He motioned us toward a doorway at the back of the room. I believe everyone has gathered in there, he said. They await us. Before moving through the doorway, I looked again at the brilliant light souls of my Nucleus family and felt a movement in my heart like someone had opened up my chest and caressed the muscles that taps the rhythm of my life beat. Recognition of someone began to spiral into me. Davy squeezed at my hand, and I felt the excitement of being on the verge of some superior knowledge that had before eluded me. Do Nucleus beings ever come into life, into human bodies? I asked. Oh, most certainly, Philip said with a note of surprise that you asked in his voice. Quickly now, Philip commanded. We must leave. The strength of his voice lurched at me, and his decree I knew I must obey. I looked down at Davy. Transfixed, his little body still leaned toward the Nucleus beings. Then I looked at Philip, imploring him to explain what was taking place, what I could not understand. Without words to my question, he answered, his voice gentler. They await. That was all he said. But in those words, I knew that something magical and mysterious and terrifyingly wonderful happened when I looked back at the Nucleus beings. But it was also something I could not yet grasp, at least not until I understood more about those who awaited me. Thank you. I hope that explains a lot more about our soul families. That was 3 different weeks that we talked about it and read from The Found Child. And yes, this book, by the way, is available on Amazon.com. And if you get it, please let me know. And those of you who have it, thank you. I appreciate it. It has been out for a while, but it is still available. So let's get our message for this week, shall we? From Soul Family, or from a member of my soul family. And I'm guessing a lot of you listening, we're all part of the same soul family, because that's what brings us together, pulls us together. So here we go. We just kind of flip through, and I'm not going to stop there. That felt like it wasn't the right place. I want to there we go. That feels more right. The reason it didn't feel the right place is it's like the book had a crease in it there, and it didn't feel like it was supposed to open it. That was our message. Here's our message. So we think left page or right page. I'm hearing right page, but I also read you the left side as well, or the other side. So if you got left page, that's certainly a message for you as well. But for all of us, our message is, if you have understanding of that which you fear, you will have no fear. If you have understanding of that which you fear, you will have no fear. I think right now there is so much fear in our world taking place, and we don't have to have all that fear. It's not about suppressing it. It's not about pushing it down, but it is about looking at it and walking through it. So when a fear comes up, you can use one of my other books. It's called Joy. I don't have it. Oh, here it is over here. It's called, you can use, this is 52 processes to help you be happier. You can use one of those, or you can simply ask yourself, what is it I'm fearing? And then keep looking beneath that fear. What's really beneath that? And as you look what's beneath that fear, you might be surprised. And if you dig deeply enough, then you can use love to heal that which you are afraid of, simply by rewriting what you're afraid of into something you're not afraid of. So, for example, let's use the virus. And let's say, I'm afraid of getting sick. And if we look beneath that, what is the fear? Well, for me, I always say, oh my gosh, if I get sick and I'm not here, who's going to take care of my kids? Who's going to take care of, who's over here sleeping? Who's going to take care of Daisy? Because she's really getting up there in years and needs some extra care. Who's going to take care of the cats? And who's going to take care of the indoor cats and the front porch cats? And now we have a raccoon that we seem to have to take care of. And who's going to do all of this? And oh my gosh, if I can't work, how am I going to pay the bills? And so I get into all of that. And if I keep going deeper and deeper and deeper, I can hear my mother, when I was a very little girl, telling me, that you have to work hard to get anything in this world. And so then I can look at that and keep going deeper. And I can also remind myself whenever years ago, which is really kind of the foundation for this book, years ago, I know I don't look like a motorcycle rider, but I love motorcycles. I love the air. And I had a motorcycle spill and I didn't get home for 2 months. And the grass got cut. All my animals got taken care of. I was so blessed and taken care of. So there's no basis for that fear. And if I remind myself of that, then I can move back into a place of love instead of that fear. So, our message: if you have an understanding of that which you fear, you will have no fear. That's our right page. On the left page, it says, when you give, you receive. When you give, you receive. So, those are our messages for this week. I remind you that the pendulum often swings very wildly before it settles down. And if you want to know more about a pendulum and how to use one, I do have a video out there for that. So thank you, my friends, for being here every week. Thank you for time to come up, for being with me throughout this presentation. Thank you for caring and for your questions. Until we meet again, I love you. I appreciate you accepting that love, and I appreciate all the love that you send to us. Stay well, stay happy, stay in love. Thank you. Let's see if we can do this now.